This video is about graphing a line and writing the equation in slope-intercept form. So the goal is I can graph an equation of a line written in slope-intercept form. First, let's do some review exercises. The directions say write the equation of each line. So if you remember the little trick, you can use a trick, or if not, we can find 3 points on this line. So here's 3 points. I'm going to write down those 3 points. We have -3, -3. We have -3, 1. And we have -3, -2. And so you guys can see all the x values are -3. So my equation of the line is going to be x equals -3. Or you could have used the trick knowing that it's a vertical line. It's always going to be x equals and then -3. Number 2, I'm going to find 3 points on that line. So here are 3 points that I'm drawing right now. I have -4, 2. Another point would be -1, 2. And the third point is 2, 2. And as you can tell, all the y values are the same. And they're all 2, so our equation of the line is y equals 2. Or you could have used the trick that since it's a horizontal line, it's always going to be y equals and then 2. First, let's start off with some vocabulary terms. So y-intercept. So the y-intercept is the y-coordinate of a point where the graph crosses the y-axis. To the right, I drew a quick graph of a line. So let's take a look at that purple line. Now, what the y-intercept would be is this point right here where the line touches the y-axis. Now these points, if I wrote it as an ordered pair, is always going to look like this. The x-coordinate is always going to be 0, and then it's going to be whatever the y-intercept is going to be, whatever that number is where the graph touches the y-axis. But the important thing to notice is that the x value will always be 0. Now let's talk about slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, the line will look like this. Y equals mx plus b. That's the form that the equation will always take. Now, the m value, we've already learned, is our slope. So m will stand for slope, and this b value stands for the y-intercept. Let's try some example problems now. So the directions state, fill out the y-intercept and slope, and then graph each line. So the equation of a line in slope-intercept form looks like this, y equals mx plus b. So our y-intercept is our b value. So our b value for our first equation, it says y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Our y-intercept is going to be this -1. So I'm including the sign in front of the number. And the slope is the number in front of the x, which is 1/2. So when I start graphing my line, I always begin with my y-intercept, which is my b value. So think begin b value, which is our y-intercept. So on the y-axis, I'm going to plot a point at -1. Because remember, the y-intercept is where the line touches the y-axis. So I put a dot at -1. That's where one of my points are. And then my slope is 1/2. So that means go up 1 and to the right 2. So from this point, 0, -1, I'm going to go up 1 to the right 2, plot a point. Up 1 to the right 2, plot a point. Up 1 to the right 2, plot a point. Now let's say that we want to find some values to the left side. Now I can do the exact opposite of what I've already done. I can go down 1 and to the left 2. So from 0, -1, right here, I'm going to go down 1 to the left 1, 2. Plot a point. Down 1 to the left 2, and down 1 to the left 2. And now we can draw our line. And make sure when you draw your line, you always put arrows on the ends. That means that that line is going to keep going and going infinitely on forever. Number 2, we have the equation y equals a -3x plus 4. So our y-intercept is our b value, which is a +4. And then our slope is our m value, which is the number in front of the x. So here it is a -3. I'm going to write -3 as a fraction, so -3 over 1. Now when I graph this, I'm going to start with our y-intercept, which is the point where the graph touches the y-axis. So I'm going to begin at 4. So I put a point there. And now my slope is telling me to go down 3 and go to the right 1. So from my y-intercept, I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3 to the right 1. Down 1, 2, 3 to the right 1. Down 1, 2, 3 to the right 1. And there I have my line. And I'm going to connect all those points with the line. And then I'm going to draw arrows on the ends.